So today we have to discuss dynamic programming, and then after that, one of the very popular example, that is matrix chain multiplication. And this diagram, in the screen you can see this is start point indicates the this is your original problem, and here you are splitting it into multiple sub problems. And the point is, these sub problems are not independent sub problems, they are dependent sub problems. They are having overlapping property, and after finding the solution of these sub problems, we are able to find out the optimal solution of the problem. So it will be clear when we'll discuss in detail. So this is the ultimate objective of the dynamic programming, to find out the solution with the help of optimal solution of the sub problems. Now let's talk about some fundamental things related to dynamic programming. So if we are going to define the dynamic programming, so it is an algorithmic technique for solving an optimization problem. And what we do, we break the problem into several sub problems, and utilizing the fact that the optimal solution to the overall problem depends on the optimal solution to sub problems. So that means, when we are going to split the problem into several sub problems, and after finding the optimal solution of sub problems, we will be able to find the optimal solution of problem with the help of solution of the sub problems. It was developed by Richard Bellman in 1950. So this is a historical things related to dynamic programming, and there are so many applications. It is having uses in aerospace engineering and many other areas to to economics. And if we talk about some other areas like mathematical optimization problem, and even many number of problems in computer science also, like 0-1 knapsack problem, all pair shortest path problem. There are several problems, even the one we are going to deal today. These are the problems which we can solve with the help of dynamic programming. How actually, as I have stated that in this dynamic programming, we divide the problem into several sub problems. Then the point comes in mind that how it differs from divide and conquer, because in divide and conquer also we divide the problem into several sub problems. So look at the point here. First point states that divide and conquer algorithms partition the problem into independent subproblems, and solve the subproblems recursively, and then combine their solution to solve the original problem. So we have discussed already in the divide and conquer approach, you all are aware. Now look at the second point. In dynamic programming, what we do, we split the problem into several subproblems which are not independent, and that is when subproblems share subproblems. So that means one subproblem, for finding the optimal solution of one subproblems, it is using the solution of another subproblems. So that means if we are going to split the problem into several subproblems, maybe they are using each other solution to find out the, maybe if you are going to find out the solution of this portion, so maybe it is using these two subparts, like this. So here in dynamic programming, we can say that subproblems are not independent, but in case of divide and conquer, subproblems are independent. So that is one of the difference. Now in this context, in the sense, like sub problems are independent and sub problems are not independent. If we look at the divide and conquer, so what we can say, a divide and conquer algorithm does more work than necessary, because repeatedly solving the common sub problems. Here sub problems are independent, so many times what happens, we have to solve the same sub problems many times, and even you will get the same solution also. So that's the reason divide and conquer sometimes it does more work. Now look at the dynamic programming. A dynamic programming algorithm solves every subproblem just once, every subproblems just one, and then saves its answer in a table. So what it does after let's finding the solution of the subproblem, what it does, it stores in a tabular form, and then in later stage these stored value will be used, so thereby avoiding the work of recomputing the answer every time the sub problem is encountered. So that means whatever the solution we are going to store in tabular format, if same sub problem is encountering again and again, then it's a solution which is stored in the tabular form, it will be used from here rather than solving it again. So this is the we can say that basic difference between dynamic programming and divide and conquer approach. And so guys, for applying the dynamic programming in any problem, we have to find out whether it is suitable for the dynamic programming or not. First we have to check whether the problem is suitable for the dynamic programming or not, then only we can apply the dynamic programming, otherwise it is not relevant to apply the dynamic programming. So what we do when we apply the dynamic programming, we have to look for its two characteristics basically, and that characteristics are overlapping subproblems and optimal substructure property. So overlapping subproblems, that means if we have several subproblems, so maybe for finding the solution of another subproblem, we are using the subproblems which are already solved. If we are going to do like this, then we can say that it is a kind of overlapping subproblem. And optimal substructure property tells that if we have computed the optimal solution of the subproblems, then using these optimal solution we will be finding the optimal solution of the original problem. If it is doing like this, then we can say that we can apply the dynamic programming. So these two properties will be more clear. Let's look at the diagram. This is for the Fibonacci series, and if you are going to compute the Fib4 value, then it will be computed with the help of Fib3 and Fib2. This is the recurrence relation, you know already. This is the recurrence relation, and here you can see this Fib2 is being used for computing the Fib3 and Fib4. Two times it is being used. So that means if we are going to compute the value of Fib2 once Fib2, then it will be used while computing the Fib3 and while computing the Fib4, rather than computing it again and again. That means once we have computed the value of Fib2 and we have stored somewhere here, and then while computing the Fib3 and Fib4, we are using it from the from the stored value from the table. Similarly, you can see this Fib1 is being used many times, so that means computed once and using again and again. There is no need to compute it again and again. So that is, this one is indicating the overlapping subproblem. So that means fib1 is being used many times. So similarly, you can see for fib0. So this is the, we can say that this diagram is showing the how these subproblems are being used, by computing only once. So let's discuss about the dynamic programming, because whatever the concept till now we have covered, that is very fundamental, and it was covering the background. Now when we apply the dynamic programming, so these are the basically 4 steps we have to look for. So first one is characterize the structure of an optimal solution. So we have to, let's formulate the structure of the problem. It will be more clear in the coming slides. And then recursively define the value of an optimal solution. So that means requirement of recursive function, and then compute the value of an optimal solution in bottom up fashion. Bottom up fashion, that means, if this is the problem, so maybe it will be broken into several sub problems, and we start from here. We start from, after computing these solutions, then we'll find these two, and then maybe with the help of these two we'll be finding this one. So this is the bottom up fashion. So that means we'll begin from here. And many algorithms, many dynamic algorithms works from top to down. So that means in that case you have to begin from here, I mean top to bottom, and then we'll reach till here, and then after finding the solution we will be able to finding the solution of the original problem. But in case of bottom up, we'll begin from bottom and then we'll reach to till top. So this is the difference between bottom and top. And fortunately we are going to talk about, for solving the let's having the one of the application of this dynamic programming using bottom up approach. Now after, let's computing the solution, what we do in 4 steps: construct an optimal solution from computed information. So after computing the values, maybe have to let's compute the solution, which one is the optimal, maybe whatever the solution you are finding, maybe several paths are there. So you'll find that which path is, encountering less cost, which path is the optimal one. So before talking about, let's matrix chain multiplication, we have to aware about the matrix multiplication. So here, we can say that if we are having 2 matrices, let's A and B, their order is, let's n cross n, then n cross n, then how many multiplications are required? How many number of multiplications are required? It will be n cube. Look at here, n cube, that means this n and one of the n from here and this n. So n into n into n, that is n cube. Similarly here, look at this, the order of this matrix is 2 cross 3, and this one is 3 cross 2. So first we have to check whether these 2 matrices are compatible or not. So of course column of the first matrix is equal to the row of second matrix. That means these matrices are compatible. Now the way we have computed the number of multiplications here, let's compute. So 2 first value, and then the intermediate 3, and then last one 2. So 2 into 3 into 2, how much? It is 12. So that means for multiplying these two matrices, how many multiplications are required? 12. You can count 1, 2, 3. Similarly, 3 here. So 3 plus 3, this one, and plus 3 matrix multiplications here, 3 and plus 3. So total 12 multiplications are required. And you know already matrix multiplications, there will be 3 loops required, I equal to 1 to n, and then let's for j is equal to 1 to n, and then for k is equal to 1 to n, and then if you are going to compute it in, let's Cij, so it will be something Cij plus, here multiplication will be aik into, let's here bkj. So this is the step. Of course you have to initialize the Cij with 0. So this is the matrix multiplication, and of course by observing the by watching these 3 loops, you can easily say that its time complexity will be order of n cube. Now you can see that, you know, in the example, if matrix is like this, then this much number of multiplications are required. Now look at the very first point. The objective of this algorithm is to determine the order for multiplying matrices that has lowest cost. That has lowest cost. So that means what we have to do, we have to when we are having more than 2 matrices, let's say 3 matrices, 4 matrices, or 5 matrices, so in which order we should multiply, so that, you know, number of multiplications will be as less as possible, as less as possible. Are you getting the point? Now look at the example. This is the objective of matrix chain multiplication. It will be more clear. Let me discuss the example first. Suppose that these are the 3 matrices given, A1, A2, A3, and their order are 10 cross 100, 100 cross 5, and then 5 cross 50. Now look at, first we are going to multiply with in this order. So that means first you have to multiply A1, A2, and then whatever the solution you will get, that particular solution, let's call it T, and then T will be multiplied with A3. So let's find out how many multiplications are required. So A1, A2, how many multiplications are required? Let's check here. A1 is this one, and this is A2. So that means for finding the number of multiplications, what we have to do, we have to take 10, and then row and column both are equal, one of the value. We have to take one of the value, and then this value 5. So here 10 into 100 into 5. So what is its value? It is something, you know, 5,000. Now this is, we call it T, and what will be the order of this T? Can anybody tell what will be the order of this new matrix T?
10 cross 5.
10 cross 5. 10 cross 5. Now let's multiply T with A3. Now find out the number of multiplications required for TA3. So T is 10 cross 5, and A3 is nothing but it is 5 cross 50. 5 cross 50. So you can see row number of columns is equal to number of row. So here 10 into 5 into 50. So what will be this value? What will be this value? It will be 2500, right? So for computing A1, A2, it is 5,000, and then TA3 it is 2500. So that means for computing this whole expression, a1, a2, and then a3, how many multiplications are required? We can add these two. So it will be 7500. 7500. Now let's look at this one. So in this one, this is the first case. This is the first case. First one is this one, and this is the second one. So let's talk about the second one. So when we are going to compute second one, 2, so first what we are going to do, we are going to compute a2 and a3. a2 and a3. Look at here. Look at here in the diagram, a2 and a3. So a2 is this one, a3 is this one. Look at the compatibility. Number of columns is equal to number of row, compatible. Now multiplications here, 100, this one, and then 5, and then 50. So what is the value? What is the value?
25,000.
25,000.
25,000. Okay. You people can help me for computing it. Otherwise, it will take time. So let's t here. Now this is going to be t. Now this t will be multiplied with a1. Now we have to find the order of t. So order of t is going to be 100 cross 50. 100 cross 50. Now find out the t. a1t. a1t. So what will be the number of multiplications? 10 cross 100 is a1, and 100 cross 50 is t. So you can see 100 number of columns is equal to 100 number of rows. Multiplication is compatible, and then you have to find out here 10, and then 100, and then here 50. So I think this value is going to be 5,000 or 50,000 in fact, 50,000. And if you are going to add these two values, if we are going to add these two values, so it is going to be something 75,000. 75,000. So look at here. Matrices are same, a1, a2, a3, and here a1, a2, a3. If we are multiplying in this order, the number of multiplications required are 7,500. And now if we are multiplying it like this, the number of multiplications are 10 times greater than the first case. 10 times greater than the first case, because if you will multiply with 10, so it will become here this one. So you can see this one is the, sequence of multiplication going to be the optimal rather than this one. So what is the objective of this matrix chain multiplication problem? We have to find out the optimal sequence. The objective of this algorithm is to determine the order for multiplying. That means in which order matrices will be multiplied so that it will incur the lowest cost. So in this particular example, if we are going to multiply a1 and a2, and then the resultant matrix T with multiply with a3, then it is 10 times better than the second scenario. So this is the overall objective of this matrix chain multiplication. I hope it is clear. Now let me discuss about the matrix chain multiplication. Before discussing the matrix chain multiplication, we have to find out how we can parenthesize. Look at here. We have parenthesized the matrices here like this. We had 3 matrices. Now two ways of parenthesization are possible. First one is this one. That means multiply a1, a2, and then a3. And then second one is a2, a3, and then a1. Now look at here. try to find out the number of possible parenthesization in these four matrices. Possible number of possible parenthesization for these four matrices. So before applying this formula, let's do it manually. So if we are going to do it manually, so one sequence we can write like A1, A2, and then A3, A4. So multiplying A3, A4, then multiplying it A2, and then multiplying it A1. That is one sequence. Let's try another one. So maybe we are multiplying A2, A3 first. So here A1, A2, A3, and this A2, A3 we are going to multiply with A4. So let's A4 and then A1. So this is second one. Maybe we can try some other also. So let's say here we are going to multiply A1, A2 and then A3, A4, and then resultant of A1, A2 and A3, A4 will be multiplied with each other. So here A1, A2 and A3, A4, and then their result will be multiplied with each other. Now fourth one we can have like, again we are going to have multiply A2, A3, and rather than multiplying it resultant of A2, A3 with A4, we are going to multiply with A1 this time. So let's here A2, A3, and multiply its resultant with A1, and then after that it will be multiplied with A4. This is another one. Now fifth one, this is going to be the last one, because here we have taken A3, A4. Now we are going to take A1, A2, A1, A2, and then it will be multiplied with A3, and then it will be multiplied with A4. So these are the five number of parenthesization when we are having four matrices, and we don't know which one is going to give the optimal number of multiplications. We don't know which parenthesization will give optimal number of multiplication. Optimal number of multiplication. We are not aware. We are not aware. Now, first point is, how we'll find that how many optimal number of, how many parenthesization are possible. So you can apply this formula. You can apply this formula. So here, if n equal to 1, that means if there is only one matrix, then only one parenthesization is possible. It is something like we are having only one matrix, A1. Now, if we are having two matrices, then you can see you have to express it like this. So here P of 2 can be expressed, K is equal to 1, 2, and here the value of n is 2 here, value of n is 2 here, and it is n minus 1, that is 1. So K equal to 1 to 1. So it will become P of 1, and then here P of 2 minus 1. N is 2 and K is 1. So P of 2 minus 1, that is P of 1 and P of 1. So P of 1, you know the value, it is going to be 1, 1. So again, if we are having two matrices, then also only one parenthesization is possible. Now what about P of 3? P of 3, so that means K will start from 1 and it will go up to 2. So when K is equal to 1, then it is going to be P of 1, and here P of value of n is 3. So P of 3 minus 1, that is P of 2, and then P of 2 for K equal to 2 and into P of 1. So from here also, you know the value of P of 1, that is 1, P of 2, that is 1. So 1 into 1 plus 1 into 1, that is going to be 2. Now this is our problem. I mean, we have to find out the number of parenthesization for this given problem. So here P of 4, if we are going to compute P of 4, so K will move from 1 to 3. K will move from 1 to 3. So P of 1 into, here look at here, n minus 1, 4 minus 1, that means P of 3 plus, when K is equal to 2, so P of 2, and this 4 minus 2, it is going to be P of 2, and plus, again look at, when K is equal to 3, so P of 3 into P of 1. We know the value of P of 1, P of 2, P of 3. So P of 1 is equal to 1, P of 2 is equal to 1, P of 3 is equal to 2. Now substitute the values. So you will get 1 into 2 plus 1 into 1 plus 2 into 1, that is 5. So you can see this is the number of parenthesization, and it can be computed with the help of this formula. So if sometimes it can be asked that, suppose that A of A1 to, let's A of 10 matrices are given, and maybe question can be how many number of parenthesization are possible, then you can compute with the help of this formula. Now guys, let's move on the next slide. I hope it is clear.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now we have discussed 4 points. We have discussed 4 points. Characterize the structure of an optimal solution, and then recursively define the value of an optimal solution, and then compute the values of optimal solution, and then after that, 4th step tells that construct the optimal solution. So this is the very first step. We have to define the optimal structure. We have to define the optimal structure for finding the solution. So here we are having AI to AJ matrices. We are having this much number of matrices. We are having AI to AJ matrices, and if we are going to compute them, so maybe we are going to give it a name AI AJ. We are going to give it a name AI AJ, and if of course I is going to be less than or equal to j, but there is also possibility that maybe I is equal to j. I is equal to j, that means only one matrix is there, maybe A1 or maybe any matrix I, whatever the value of I equal to j equal to is, that is, if it is 1, then it will be A1, or maybe anything. So it is going to be a trivial case. I hope trivial case is, you are aware with this term, you have encountered in the database. So it is going to be a trivial case. But if it is not like this, I is less than j, then look at the second point. If it is non-trivial, is imply that I is less than j, then for any parenthesization AI to AJ, of course AI plus 1, any number of matrices can be between AI and AJ depending on the value of I and j, must split the product between AK and AK plus 1. So guys, it is something like AI plus 1, let's somewhere here it is AJ, and K is somewhere between I and j. K is somewhere between I and j, so maybe AK is here, and then of course AK plus 1 will be the next one. So it will split from here. It will split from here, or recursively we can split here also, and then we can here also. So we can recursively split. We can recursively split. So look at the concept here. Look at the concept here. AK and AK plus 1 is going to be the matrices from where we will split this sequence of matrices. Will split this sequence of matrices, and recursively it will be applied for the subparts also. Like here, AI2, let's say here it will go till AK, and then AK plus 1 to AJ. Recursively, this concept will be applied for this one also and this one also, and so on. So maybe will reach at a level when we are having the sub problems will be very easy to compute, and then we are, after using these sub problems will be able to solve some bigger sub problems, and then after finding these solutions we maybe will be able to finding the solution of the original problem. Now look at what can be the value of k. What can be the value of k? Of course, it cannot be equal to j. It will be lesser than j, and it will begin from I. It will begin from I. It will begin from I. So you can see k will be somewhere here, and it can be equal to I also. So k is ranging from I to less than, equal to j minus 1. In the first compute, we'll find the AIK. Look at here. If you will pay attention, then in the end it will be clear to you. It will be clear to you, and I can ensure that you will be able to solve any kind of problem, any let's varying problem with this concept, because I am going to cover each and every associated concept with this matrix chain multiplication. So look at here, when we are going to split it into AI to AK and AK plus 1 to AJ. So whatever the computation will be required, that computation will be done, that will be represented with AIK. That means from AI to AK, after computing you will find the matrix, and we are going to denote it with AIK. Similarly, doing the multiplication from AK plus 1 to AJ, resultant matrix will be denoted with AK plus 1 to J. So I hope it is clear. This is the let's say structuring we are going to use. Now, how we are going to compute the cost? So the cost of this parenthesization is thus the cost of computing matrix AIK. So that means whatever the computation is required for multiplying the matrices starting from AI to AK, and plus the cost of computing AK plus 1J. Now the matrices starting from K plus 1 to J, and plus the cost of multiplying them together. Multiplying them together, that means multiplying AI to AK and AK plus 1 to J, these two matrices. So these two matrices also will give some cost, let's X. So whatever the multiplication cost is coming from here, let's M1, and then from here it is M2, and then it is X. So it will be something M1 plus M2 plus X. So this is the optimal structure. I mean, this is the structure we are going to use for writing the recursive step for calculating the matrix chain multiplication. So I hope it is clear. Now let's move to the second point, recursive solution. Recursive solution. So look at here, Mij indicates the minimum number of multiplication needed to needed to compute the matrix Aij, where I is less than or equal to greater than or equal to 1, is less than or equal to j, and j is less than or equal to n. Of course, j can be equal to n also. J can be equal to n also. Now look at here. Assume that the optimal parenthesization split ai to aj between ak and ak plus 1. Between ak and ak plus 1. Let's look at here. ai plus 1 till here, ak plus 1, and here aj. So split from here, just focus here, you'll find out the things. Split from here. So what's happening here, this k can be here also. I mean, let's splitting from here, not splitting from here. It can be something like this. Yeah, maybe we can have another scenario. This k is something, here, and it is, this part is smaller. So k can vary. How many values can k can take? It can take j minus I values. J minus I values. Of course, starting from I is equal to 1, starting from I is equal to 1, it will, I is, starting from k equal to I, it will go till j minus 1. Starting from k equal to I, it will go till j minus 1. You can see here. Now, while splitting the sequence of matrices, we can see how this k can take the values from, let's starting from k to j minus 1. So that means it can split from anywhere. Before j, it can split from anywhere. So that means there are many possible values of k, from, let's I to j minus 1, from I to j minus 1. And what we have to do for computing the Mij, we have to select the k for which this Mij is giving lesser number of, yeah, in fact, least number of, yeah, maybe we can say that minimum number of multiplications. Minimum number of multiplications. The one which is going to give, we have to look for that particular k which is going to give minimum number of multiplications. So look at here how these steps are represented. Look at here how these steps are represented. So if we are going to find out the value of Mij, so that means ai2 here, aj, and ak plus 1 split here. It k can vary, already I have explained. Now you have to calculate the required multiplication for this one, that is mik, and then required number of multiplication for this one, that is mk plus 1j, and then multiplication of these two. So of course, after multiplying the matrices, this resultant matrix, let's see what will be its order. Its order will be something like, suppose that aj is order of, let's pj minus 1 cross pj, if we are going to represent the order of aj like this, and a order of ai is, let's pi minus 1 cross pi. If its order is like this, you can see I have represented here. If matrix is ai, then its order will be denoted like this. Then what will be the order of these two matrices? What will be the order of these two matrices? It will be something like pi minus 1 and pj. And of course we are going to multiply the matrices, so we have to look for the number of columns of this matrix must be equal to the number of column of this matrix. So look at here, if we are going to write the order of ak, so it is going to be pk minus 1 into pk, and order of ak plus 1, it is going to be pk into pk plus 1. So this is in the left side ak, and ak plus 1 is in the right side. So if we look at the compatibility, so you will be find that number of rows of this matrix, or number of columns of this matrix, is equal to the number of rows of this matrix, that is pk. So here, for multiplying these two matrices, how many multiplications are required? Pi minus 1 into pk into pj. Look at here. It is mentioned. Now, guys, this is the situation when we are having the value of k, but k can vary. It can start from I, and it will be 1 lesser than j. But of course, when it is going to be I equal to j, then only one matrix will be there. There will be no multiplication, then multiplication cost will be 0. But if it is something like this, then we have to change the k from I to j minus 1, and we have to find out the minimum value of this one. Whatever the minimum value will be, we will be finding here, that will be the optimal solution of that particular sub problem, or maybe problem. Now, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Now look at the, I hope this step is clear. Now look at the this third step to compute the values. So this is the matrix chain order algorithm. This is the matrix chain order algorithm, and if we are having the matrices from A1 to AN, then this is the, we can say that they are order of matrices. Let me represent it in some other ways so that it will be clear to you. So that it will be more clear to you. So suppose that there are 4 matrices, A1, A2, A3, A4. There are 4 matrices, and their orders are, let's 5 cross 4, and then here it is 4 cross 6. This one is 6 cross 2, and this is 2 cross 7. This is 2 cross 7. So if we are going to constitute this P, so P will be something like 5, this 5, and then 4, then 6, 2, and 7. 5, 4, 6, 2, 7. You can also indicate these positions P0, P1, P2, P3, and P4. So this is just a notation to indicate the, let's say P is an array which is containing the, let's order of matrices in this way. Now what we are going to do in this particular algorithm, we are going to pass this P. We are going to pass this P here. Look at. We are going to pass this P value here. Now the point is, we have mentioned that we create a tabular, we create a table to store the intermediate values. So what is that? So let me tell you, for solving this problem, we create a matrix. We create a matrix, and that will be in the order of the number of matrices. So let's look at here, 4 number of matrices. So it will be order of 4 cross 4 something, order of 4 cross 4. So let me do it something like this, and this one is going I, and this is J. I can be written here also, but I'm writing in the right side. There is a reason behind it, and we call it matrix M as notation used in the algorithm. Now there is another matrix. Let's use that one also. Use that one also. Let's call it S, and once again here I, and here it is J. Indexes we can mention 1, 2, 3, 4, and here 1, 2, 3, 4. Similarly here also 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. You can see first column, second column, third column, fourth column. Similarly, first row, second row, third row, fourth row. These are the two matrices. Now look at here. Let me write this P somewhere here to have the space for explaining the concepts. So 5, 4, 6, 2, 7, E0, E1, E2, E3, E4. Now focus here. Look at the very first line. Look at the very first line. Look at this very first line. What will be the value of n if we are going to pass this P? Length of P is 5 because there are 5 elements. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 minus 1, that means it will be 4. Now look at the second line. For I equal to 1 to n, that means 1 to 4. Do mii equal to 0. Mii equal to 0, that means for I equal to 1, for I equal to 2, 3, 4. So M11, M22, M33, M44. So it is going to be 0. It is going to be 0. 1, 1 is this one. 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4. It is going to be 0. Now the job for these 3 lines is over. Now look at line number 4. For L is equal to 2 to n. So value of n is given already. For L is equal to 2. Of course, it will go starting from 2 to 4. But for L is equal to 2, when the value of L is equal to 2, look at here this loop. I is equal to 1 to n minus L plus 1. So I is equal to 1 to n minus L plus 1. What is the value of n? That is 4. What is the value of L? That is 2. So 4 minus 2 plus 1. That is going to be 3. So I will move from 1 to 3, but currently it is 1. Do j equal to I plus 1 minus 1. Sorry, I think it is I plus 1, not I plus 1, it is I plus L. It is I plus L. Correction here, I plus L. So I plus L minus 1. So what is the value of L? 2. So 2 plus 1, that is 3, and minus 1, that is 2. So what is the value of J? It is 2. It is 2. Now, Mij, look at here. Mij is equal to infinity. So value of I is 1, value of J is 2. So which one is the position? Value of I is 1, value of J is 2. So that means it is saying that value of Mij is infinity. Let's put here infinity. Now, for k is equal to J minus 1. Look at here, for k is equal to I to J minus 1. So value of I is equal to 1, value of J is equal to 2, J minus is 1, that means 1 to 1. So this loop will execute only once. And between 1 to 1, we can take only one value for k, that will be equal to 1. Now look at here, put the value of I and k and j here. So it will become, q will become something m, I is 1, k is 1, plus k plus 1 is 2, and j is 2 here. J is 2 here, you can see j is 2 here. So it will be 2. And then after that, pi minus 1, pk and pj. So value of I is 1. So pi minus 1, that is going to be p naught. Pk, value of k, that is going to be p1. And pj is going to be p2. Now look at what will be the value of k. M11, use this matrix, this table. Value of M11, first row, first column is given here, that is 0. M22, this one, first row, second column, that is given 0. Now we have to compute P0, P1, P2. P0 is 5 multiplied by P1, that is 4, and P2, that is 6. So this multiplication is going to be 120. 5 into 4 into 6, 120. So 0 plus 0 plus 120, that is going to be 120. I'll check here. Q is less than Mij. Yes, because it is infinity and Q is 120, it is lesser. Then what you have to do? You have to replace this value with 120. 120, and then this is the step, and then Sij, we have to put k here. So what is the value of I and j? I is 1, j is 2. So here it will be, we are going to put a value of k, and value of k is 1. So S I is equal to 1 is this one. Yeah, I is this one and j is this one. So this is going to be this position. So we'll put the value of k here. So you can see we have computed 120. Similarly, after finishing this loop, we have to increase the value of, I, because initially I was 1, now it will become 2. It will become 2. So similarly, when we'll compute like this, then we will get it like, for I is equal to 2, what will be the value of j? I is equal to 2, what will be the value of j? So 2, and value of L is already given, 2 plus 2, 4 minus 1, that is 3. So j is 3 now. Now look at here, Mij, so that means 2, 3, M, second row, third column, 2, 3, going to put infinity and then compute the value. So for calculating the Q, this time what you will get, M I is equal to 2 to j minus 1, again 2. So that means K is going to be 2, and we are going to compute the value of it, then it will be M22 plus M33 plus here P of 1, P of K, that is 2, and P of J, that is 3. So here 22 M33 is given already, M22 is this one, M33 is this one, like this. So it will be 0, 0, and P1, P2, P3, P1, P2, P3, 4 into 6 into 2, that is going to be 48. Now look at here, what will be the value here? It will be 48. And what is the value of K? If you are going to update in Sij, so here it will come 2, because value of K is 2. Similarly, you'll increase the value of I now, increase the value of now I now, it will become 3, and you will perform the similar operation. Then this time you are going to get this value 84, and value of K will be 3. Value of K will be 3. Now then after that, if we are going to increase the value of I, then this condition will fail, because I can go up to 3 only, and it will become 4. Now what we have to do, we have to increase the value of L. Now it is going to be 3. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Now look at, for L is equal to 3, look at for L is equal to 3, and of course it is going to use these values. So when we have L is equal to 3, so for I is equal to 1 to N is 4, L is 3, so 4 minus 3, that is 1, plus 1, 2. So I will be moving from 1 to 2. Now the value of J, what will be its value? I plus L. Value of L is 3, I is 1, so 3 plus 1, that is 4, 4 minus 1, that is 3. Value of J is 3 now. Now look at here, Mij. So I is 1, J is 3. So M13. I is 1, J is 3, M13. This is the position. We are going to put infinity here. Now compute this step, these steps. K is equal to I to J. So I is 1, J is 3. So J minus 1 is 2. So that means this time K is going to take two values. The values are 1 and 2. So that means this loop will iterate 2 times, and we will be finding two values of Q. And here we are going to store the value which is least among these two values. So let's calculate these two values of Q. So let's first calculate for K is equal to 1. So when k is equal to 1, so it will be m 1 comma 1 plus m m k plus 1, that is 2, and j is 3 given here. So m 2 comma 3 and plus, here you have to write I is 1, so pi minus 1, that is p naught, and k is 1, that is pk p1, and p3 is there, so it will become p3. And now for k is equal to 2, it will be m 1 comma 2 plus m, because here k is equal to 2, 1 comma 2 m 2 comma m 3 comma 3. And what will be this multiplication? I is 1, so pi minus 1, that means p naught. Pk is equal to 2, pk, that is p2, and then here pj, that is p3. Now you can see the value of m11 in the matrix. M11 in the matrix, it is 0, so here it is 0. M23, second row, third column, that is 48. Now P naught, P1, P3, you can multiply from here. P naught is 5, P1 is 4, 5 into 4, 20, and then P3, it will become 60. Look at here, M12, first row, second column, 120, M33 given here, that is 0, plus P naught, P2, P3, you can see here, P naught is 5, P2 is 6, so 5 into 6, that is 30, into P3, so 30 into 2, that is 60. Now look at the summation. This is going to give 180, and this one is going to give how much? P naught, P1, P3. 5 into 4 into 2, it is 40. P naught is 5, P1 is 4, P3 is 2. So 5 into 4 into 2, it is 40. So here 48 plus 40, it is going to give 88. Now look at here, which one is the minimum? This one is the minimum. And for which value of k? For value of k is equal to 1. So here it will come 88. It will come 88. And the value of, similarly, value in Sij, here it will come 1. Similarly, you have to increase the value of I. Now it will become 2. You will calculate it for I is equal to 2, and here you will get 104 for value of k is equal to 3. And then in the end, now we'll increase the value of L once again. Now this time L will become 4. 2 to n, value of n is 4. This time L will become 4. Now look at the value of I. 1 to n minus L. N is 4, L is 4. So 4 minus 4 plus 1, that is 1. So that means I can take only one value. Now look at the value of J this time. I plus L. So I is 1, L is 4. L is 4, 4 plus 1, 5 minus 1, that is 4. This one also is going to take only one value. Now look at Mij. So I is 1, J is 4. So I is 1, J is 4. They are talking about this position. Put the infinity here. Put the infinity here. Now look at the value of K. K will go from I is equal to, let's 1 to j minus 1. So j minus 1, that is 4 minus 1, 3. So k will take the 3 value, 1, 2, and 3. Now what we have to do, this loop will iterate 3 times, and you will get 3 values of q, 3 values of q, and one for k is equal to 1, another for k is equal to 2, and another for k is equal to 3. You'll get 3 values of q, and these 3 values of q will be computed with the help of this expression. So expression can be written, and in the after computation you will get the value. It will be something equal to 158. You will get something 158, which will be the least one, and it will be for k is equal to 3. It will be for k is equal to 3. So you people can calculate. Otherwise, if you want, I can calculate it also. You can do it. You have to write 3 expressions for changing the value of k. Let me write it here. Otherwise, maybe you people are not feeling comfortable. Then you can look it like this. So for k is equal to 1, after computing this one, you'll find that this is giving the least value, and it is 150. It is 158. It is 158, and you can see the value of k is 3. So here k is equal to 3 will come, and it is 158. So in this algorithm, you can see here optimal number of multiplications, whatever we are able to compute, that is 158. Now the point is, why we are computing this one, Sij. We are computing it for the 4th step to find out the optimal solution. So if we are going to compute it, then another algorithm is required. That is, let's look at this one. So here what we have to do, we have to pass the value of this matrix and value of I and j. So we have taken 4 matrices, A1 to A4. So j is 4, I is 1. We have to pass these 4 matrices, and after applying this algorithm, print optimal parents. I mean, let's POP SIJ. After applying this algorithm, after executing these steps, you will find the sequence like A1, A2, A3, and then after that it will be multiplied with A1, and then it will be multiplied with A4. And Sij is given in the previous slide. Sij is this one. This is Sij. So if you'll apply this one, then you'll get this sequence, and it is going to be the optimal solution of the problem. Look at this example. It is given in the book. There are 6 matrices, and these are the dimensions. So you can compute the value of m and s, and then you'll apply the algorithm for finding the optimal solution. Then you'll get this sequence, and this is one of the scenario mentioned here for finding the value of m to 5. So second row and fifth column, second row and fifth column. So M25, that is, here, this one, 7125, and here K is going to be 2, T and 4. And you can see this value 7125. So that means for K is equal to 3, it is giving the optimal value. So you can do the practice on it. And I think this is all about matrix chain multiplication. If you have any query, you can ask.